Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about the disappearance and murder of Brittanee Drexel. And this happened in April of 2009. And for the first time, since I first heard about the case, I heard updates on it just today actually. It's like it went stale, like cold for a long time. And then they went down the wrong trail. And now it sounds like they finally have this case solved. So, some of you might remember her. The way I remember it is I remember hearing a 17-year-old went missing on spring break. And of course, that caught my attention because, teenagers are always going on spring break, and I wanted to know more about it. Well, apparently, Brittanee asked her mother if she could go on spring break with a group of friends. And her mother said no, because they were going to go to Myrtle Beach, and they're from New York. And the mother was not familiar with the group of friends that she was going to be hanging around. So she came up with a plan that she would tell her mother she was staying at her friend's house for 2 days because she wanted her mother, like she acted like she was just wanting to cool down, and her mom thought, well, I'll let her go to her friend's house for 2 days because I didn't let her go to spring break. So in reality, Brittanee goes to spring break in Myrtle Beach with her friends, but her boyfriend couldn't go with her. So here she is in Myrtle Beach without her boyfriend. She's with some friends her mother doesn't even know. And her mother has no clue that she's there. So one night, Brittanee wanted to walk to another hotel down the street because she had a friend that was staying there, and the friend ended up being a male friend. And so she walked to that hotel. They have surveillance of her showing up to that hotel, but she only stayed there 10 minutes to talk to the friend because she got a text from her friends back at her hotel saying, "You're wearing my clothes, I want them back." So she had to immediately leave. So she was there 10 minutes. And she left to go back to her hotel. And all this is on Myrtle Beach, and it's just like a mile and a half apart. And so she texted her boyfriend, and she said, "Now I'm on my way back to my hotel." And he said, "Why?" And she told him. And she said, "I'm just going to pack and I'm going to leave the next day." So she was texting him on the way home. To her home base, which was the hotel her and her friends were staying at. And her text abruptly ended at 9:15. So she leaves her other friend's hotel at 8:58 p.m. And by 9:15, nobody hears from her again. And she disappeared. So this was all over the news. And unfortunately, I dismissed it right away as a runaway when I found out that she didn't tell her mother where she was going. I kind of thought, oh, she just ran away. Like, who doesn't tell their mother? I would have told my parents where I was going. I just never would have went on spring break without telling my parents. Like, that's just what kind of kid I was. So obviously me and her are very different. But So years go by, people are looking for Brittanee. Now, one thing I admire about her mother is her mother moved to Myrtle Beach to be near the investigation and to look for her daughter. It's like, I just think that is a true mother's love. I feel like a lot of times when I hear about these cases where the kid goes missing in another city or another country, I often wonder why the parents don't want to move there. And sometimes it makes me think they're guilty, or if they want to move away from a place where the kid is missing. So I admire her mother for wanting to move to Myrtle Beach to look for her daughter. So apparently there was some guy in jail who claimed he saw her with another guy who ended up being an inmate. But all that ended up being false, so I'm not going to go into that. So unbeknownst to us, in 2012, a man named Raymond Moody, who was a registered sex offender, he got on the radar of the police of someone who might be a person of interest. So that was 10 years ago. So 3 years after this happened, they started looking into this guy, Raymond Moody. So in May, the police ended up talking to Moody, and he confessed to the crime on May 4th and provided a location of where Brittanee's remains might be. The FBI searched for 3 days, and on May 11th, they found her remains buried in the woods. So what new evidence they got was over time, they were able to find a more precise location of where her phone was. And they found out that her phone pinged on a beach down from her hotel. And then it pinged in this area called Georgetown. So according to Moody, he said that he pulled up alongside her and he was with his girlfriend. And they asked if she wanted to party with them. And she said yes and got in their car. They went down the street to the beach and they partied. Apparently there was a campfire. And then he came on to Brittanee and she denied his advances. And all this apparently happened when the girlfriend went in to check on somebody. This was like a campsite. So she was in the camper, I guess. So apparently she didn't notice anything. And she came out and he said Brittanee had got picked up by friends. But in reality, he confessed that he killed her, kidnapped her, raped her, and buried her body. So he's 62 now. So at the time this happened, he would have been in his 40s. And she's 17. So I'm thankful he admitted to it, and it sounds like he did it because he knew where the body was. So it's not one of those cases where people just admit to it and they really didn't do it. So I'm so glad this case is solved. Maybe it could be a lesson to other teenagers to not do things behind your parents' back, because look at all the trouble that this caused. Plus, if she hadn't told her boyfriend, it might have taken even longer for them to figure out where she even was. And the other thing you have to remember when you're a teenager is people are going to assume you're a runaway. And so if you get yourself in a crazy situation, you need to think, oh my gosh, if this person kidnaps me, everybody's going to think I just ran away because of my reputation. So you don't want that reputation of that you might be a runaway or, to be troubled, because they're going to just assume that you're a runaway. But I'm glad there's finally going to be justice for Brittanee, because regardless if she didn't listen to her mother, she didn't deserve to be murdered and kidnapped. So I just thought I'd tell you guys about this case because I didn't realize that there were so many updates. So I'll see you all in the next one.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.